Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Trying to go live on TikTok as well. It's not being very cooperative. But I hope everybody's doing well this morning, or whatever time of day you happen to be watching this. Let me see if I can get live here on TikTok. Hi, good morning, good morning. Nice to see you. That was weird. I just saw like a weird video overlay here for a second. All kinds of things happening technologically. Good morning. Good morning. Taking some gummy vitamins because I forgot to take them. And I apparently have to take them or my head will fall off. I don't know. According to my doc. So I have this pretty common, fairly common genetic mutation. It's called MTHFR. Some people know about it, some people don't. And it means my body doesn't process folic acid. So I have to take folate because there's lots of folic acid in food. They supplement, at least here in the U.S., they supplement a lot of wheat products. If you ever see like fortified or enriched flour or like baked goods, that sort of stuff you buy from the store, cereals, it's fortified with folic acid, which is an artificial form of folate. And if you have the gene that I do, you don't process it. So I have to take folate. It's really important for, particularly it's the addition of folic acid into products. Here's Phoebe, by the way. Phoebe wants to say hello. Good morning. Or she wants to be in my lap, like causing trouble, which is how she is. Anyway, the addition of folic acid to foods has been really helpful in reducing the number of birth defects and things like that, especially. But it's critical. Everybody has to have it. Oh, I got to turn my light on. Turn on my Stay Golden light. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. It's a little darker in here, so my camera adjusts to the darkness and that sort of thing, but it's a little darker. It's a rainy day out today, so not as bright. I hope everybody is doing okay. Nice to see everybody coming on. The title for today is, I'm calling it Step Into Your Power, and I'm going to talk about what that means. But really what I'm talking about is stuff like really walking your true path, your true unique path. So it's my belief that we are all part of divinity. We're all projections from divinity, from God. We're emanations from source. However, we incarnate into this world in an individualized consciousness. There is only one consciousness. There's one sort of mega consciousness, the Brahman, as it were, the oversoul. There's one consciousness, but we form our little bubbles of experience inside that consciousness. And as those individualized consciousness, our job in this incarnation is just to have experiences, right? Potentially certain experiences, but it's to have experience. Consciousness, if it is empty, which is its natural state, the natural state of consciousness is empty. It is but a container. If it is empty of objects and individuals and things like that, there's nothing to experience. So consciousness decides to divide itself, which is an illusion, but it's a powerful one and it's an important one. And we can work to have experiences of universal consciousness, and those are great. Those are very high. I don't want to say high level. It's not like there are levels, but it's a very important spiritual experience to have. And it's what a lot of spiritual work is aimed at, right? So a lot of theurgic work, a lot of meditation style things are aimed at experiencing universal consciousness. And that's great. It is. It's great. It's important. It may be the ultimate goal. I don't know. But while we're on our way there, I believe we wouldn't incarnate, we wouldn't individuate, we wouldn't do this if there wasn't a reason for it, right? It's not, I don't believe that it's random that we have individual consciousness. I think there's a reason for it, and that reason is, as individuals, we get to have experiences, we get to have a diversity of experience. So in that individuated state that we are in most of the time, we live inside our own little bubble of reality, or as author Robert Anton Wilson would say, we live in a reality tunnel, meaning our reality, the reality that we live in, is 100% unique. Your reality is not my reality. Your reality is no one else's reality but yours. This is an important point, and I'm going to not harp on it, but I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. It came up last night. I was working with somebody last night on some things, and this person was saying, I put so much stock into what my parents think, right? So my parents say I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that, and it makes no sense to me. Like, what, and then we're talking about like career stuff and whatever. And I'm like, well, the thing to understand is that your parents are living in their own, each of them are living in their own reality. And there may be some overlap between your reality and their reality, but it's not 100%. It never is, and it never can be. As individuated consciousness, as pure consciousness, yes, we experience a unified reality. But as an individual, as you experiencing you through an ego, through the lens of the body, through the lens of the senses, all of those things, your experience is 100% unique. There's no one else who has ever existed or who will ever exist who will have exactly the same experience you do. Why? Because we are different. My body is different than yours. My experiences are different than yours. My upbringing is different. My education is different. And all of our experience, everything that arises in our consciousness, is tinged by all of that, right? I can't even understand what it is like to be somebody else. And if you think you can, you're just projecting. Like, I can project onto somebody else. I'm like, oh, this person is acting. And we make a lot of mistakes this way with other people when we make assumptions about them. So, this person that I was talking to last night that I was working with was like, well, I've got these opportunities and my parents want me to do this, and it makes no sense because it doesn't, and I'm like, they are talking from their own experience, upbringing, education, biology, all of that. And she's like, well, maybe it's time for me to stop listening to my parents. I'm like, well, that's up to you. I would never tell you what to do. However, just understanding that their reality is not your reality, then some of the pressure can get let off when you say, I can't understand how these people can act like this. I can't understand how these people can think this. You don't have to understand. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of it unless you're, a psychiatrist or psychologist studying human behavior and you really want to get in the nitty-gritty of it. All you need to understand is that they're not living from the same reality, that they're not in the same reality you are. And we often say, like, what reality are you living in, or what planet are you living in? We have no idea. I can't possibly understand all of your conscious and unconscious processes, right? So this is an important concept to grasp, because our mission, if there is one on this planet, is to live out in this incarnation, is to use this body and this mind as a vehicle to have experiences. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you're here on this planet to grow, or you're here on this planet to learn, or you're here on this planet. And yeah, all of those things may be true, or they may not be true. I don't know. But you are here, what can be observed, right? So let's look at just what we can observe ourselves. And if your observations are different, that's fine, because you live in a different reality from me, right? What we can observe is we are all having individual experiences, whether we learn from those, whether we grow from those or not, right? We can't help learning. I mean, we can try really hard not to learn. People, I think, have to try really hard not to learn from their experience. But we are having these experiences that you probably would agree with, unless you're that is not part of your reality. That's not part of your paradigm. You're having experiences. We don't have to get into how consciousness works. We don't have to get into awareness. We don't have to get into, we can talk about all of those things, but you're having experience right now. You're having many experiences right now, and your experiences are not my experiences. There may be some overlap. We might agree, right? I hold up this object. We might agree this is a pen. We are both experiencing, but are we experiencing it the same way? No. I'm holding this. I feel its weight. It looks different to me than I have a different, completely different, my eyes are in a different place. I have a different perspective. You're seeing an electronic version of it. I'm seeing it in non-electronic version, although I guess light is electromagnetic. So even that, right? And my experience, like I write with this pen, so I have a different experience with this pen. So my experience is different. We can agree on some aspects of it, but it's still different. Oh my gosh, that's great. I don't know why I blocked that. I'm gonna get a lot of that. You hear about the first restaurant to open on the moon? Great food, but sadly no atmosphere. That's funny. That's a great dad joke. I'm going to remember that one. I'm going to use that at some point today. Not on this live, but I'll use that at some point today. That's a great joke. I don't know why they disallowed that. That's really silly of TikTok to a joke like that. I love jokes. Come on. I love, and the more grown worthy a joke, I love it even more. My kids have learned not to be embarrassed by me because they've had to. So that's just funny. Love that. Great food, no atmosphere. That's sorry, that's threw me for a loop. I'm still chuckling. So talking about individual experience. So when I talk about stepping into your power, I don't know what that is. It's not for me to tell you what that is, what your power is. And I don't necessarily mean superpowers, or you might have superpowers, right? So what I mean is allowing your natural abilities to come up and to shine and to embrace and allow them, and not to fight them off. So often we fight stuff off, right? Because we're told by culture that it's shameful, or we're embarrassed, or we don't want to put ourselves out there, right? And if it's something we really care about, then it can make us feel even more vulnerable when we put ourselves out there. So when I talk about spirituality, for example, then I come out here and I put myself out there. I love doing this. I love I've learned to love this, but there were people come on all the time who tell me I'm practicing witchcraft and going to hell according to Jesus and whatever. Like, that happens. I don't take that personally, but there were times in my life where I stopped doing things that I loved because the criticism was too hard, right? The criticism, because I cared about what I was doing, and somebody came on, like I don't have any examples I want to share at the moment, but I will tell you, like, anytime you step out, and stepping into your power doesn't necessarily mean stepping into the public, right? Just for me, I like teaching, and this is one of the ways that I get to talk to people all over the world, and without trying to organize a class or something like that. I just get to come on here and talk for an hour, and it's cool. And people who like what I have to say can subscribe, and people who don't like can keep scrolling, and that's all. It's all good. It's all good. If you don't like what I have to say, it's okay. I'm not your cup of tea. I don't have to be. And I'm a cup of coffee. I drink enough coffee that I should be coffee by now. Like 70% of my body weight should not be water. It should be coffee. Um, I don't drink that much coffee. I do love my coffee, and I usually have a couple cups, um, but I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't have to be, right? And part of stepping into your power might be finding your tribe, finding the people who support you. Your tribe doesn't have to be people doing the same things you do or having the same beliefs you do, but they have to be people who support you. I don't have time for people who don't support me, right? I don't mean like on social media, whatever. If you want to come on here and talk smack about me, that's cool. Whatever. I just mean in my life, I don't have time to take on negativity about what I'm doing. And a lot of that is coming from, if I'm out there and I'm not harming anyone, and, what I'm doing is actually trying to be helpful to people. If people don't support that for whatever reason, um, that's okay. But I don't really need to take that negativity on. I don't need to give my power away to people that way, right? So hang on to the negativity. Don't let that be you. Don't be the negative Nelly. But we all have those people in our lives sometimes, right? People that, for whatever reason, we have to have. Do I have a poop schedule or is it random? That's a little personal. I would say random though. um, I don't like. Do I keep a calendar or something? Like, do I put a timer on? I don't. Um, if I were to sit down and talk to anybody that's ever lived, who would it be, and what would you say? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I know people have like somebody they maybe the Buddha. I don't know, and ask really what is this all about? But I don't know honestly. Uh, there are a lot of people I would love to sit down and talk to. So it's hard to pick one. That's my problem. Um, but anyway, we're talking about stepping into your power. What is that? What do I mean by that? So we all have a uniqueness to us, and that gives us a power, ability. Power. I need to talk a little bit about the word power. So often it gets a negative, really negative connotation, right? Because we think of power over others, right? Power, and there's the statement that power corrupts. You are just so damn exhausted. I'm sorry that you're so damn exhausted. I hope you can find a way to not be so damn exhausted. But I'm not talking about power over people or necessarily like power. The definition of power is the ability to do work, right? That's the physical definition of power, the ability to do work, right? There's all kinds of power. There's electrical power, there's mechanical power, there's the power that comes from the ATP in my cells for my muscles to move, that allow me to talk. There's all kinds of power out there, and power is neutral. It's all in its application that um, that it takes on the connotations. So, for example, if I were a really charismatic speaker, maybe you think I am, maybe you don't. But if I were a really charismatic speaker, I could use that ability to inspire people to do great things, or I could use that to, uh, I could use that to become a populist fascist leader and enslave people and oppress them, right? Right. So it's in how the power is applied. I can take a hammer and I can go build a house with it, or I can go hit my neighbor over the head with it. Both of those things, both of those activities are just applications of power. So when I say step into your power, I'm talking about both the ability to do whatever it is that you should be doing. And by should, like, this is not a judgment thing, but it's to find your true path. Yep. Yeah. So if you're giving your power away, you're going to be exhausted all the time. So what do we do about that? What do you do about giving your power away if you're so damn exhausted? Well, maybe you create some boundaries around that. Maybe you stop. Maybe you decide to stop giving your power away and retain it. So my background is in shamanism, and in shamanism, we're always about restoring power to people. We have power animals. The healing work that we do is to restore power to people. So the way that, from my perspective, when I do a healing session with somebody, I am not healing that person. That person is healing themselves. What I am doing is I am doing a ceremony to create the conditions under which they are more likely to heal. Because ultimately, all healing is self-healing. If you break your arm and you go to the doctor, they set the bone and put it in a cast. It is not the cast that heals you, right? The cast creates the conditions for your bones to heal straight. Your bone is healing itself. Okay? So I don't have the power to heal, but I have the power to help create conditions under which people can heal themselves. That's my viewpoint anyway. So when I work with clients on healing, and again, so we're talking about like giving your power away. If you're doing that, you're going to run out of steam all the time, right? It's like that a little bit for me as somebody who's a practitioner, a teacher. So I come on here and I go on, on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on Twitch, and different platforms, and I teach live. This is what I do, and this is obviously free. I don't get paid to do this, whatever. But this is how I contribute. But there are always people out there who want me to give, like one-on-one services for free, and like, how dare I charge for my time or that sort of thing? And I'm like, well, I live in a house. I have a mortgage, and if I'm going to give you my time, what are you going to give me back? And it creates this sucking. I've done it. I've done lots of work for free for people, and lots of work at sliding scale and stuff like that. And almost universally, the people who there are people who are takers out there who just want to draw all your power away. And how dare you ask me for anything in return? You're not doing this from the right perspective, right? I had years ago, I had a client I did a lot of stuff for, sliding scale and free, and she was like, I don't have any money. And she was running these big seminars that were full all the time. She probably had a lot more money than I did, but she was a taker, and she wouldn't show up to sessions. I would block out time in which I couldn't take any other client who were the clients who were, helping me pay my bills and pay for my house and feed my children. And I would block time out for her, and she wouldn't show up. And I finally had to cut her off. And I said, okay, I think I'm done, and I need to, I'm sorry, but you need to find somebody else to work with, because you're not respecting my time. And then she started attacking me. Oh, you're just in this for the money. I'm like, I haven't charged you anything. How could I, whatever. So, religious trauma will make you crazy. What if I'm wrong? I don't know. I mean, certainly trauma can, any kind of trauma, religious trauma, otherwise, can make you feel that way. And it may be part of your mission here on Earth to heal from that. Maybe even to help others heal from that. What if you're wrong? I don't know. Is it going to be the end of the world if you're wrong? Probably not. I know they're going to So anybody out there telling you, human beings out there telling you you're going to hell for your belief system, are not experts on anything. Sorry, I'm going to plainly state this. Everybody has a different opinion, right? Even so, if we're talking Christianity, and I suspect we're talking about Christianity here, there are something like 14,000 different sects of Christianity, and how you'll burn in hell. There's no hell. You're not going to burn in hell. I'm sorry, spoiler alert. I do a lot of death and dying work with people. I've psychopumped people who, psychopump is like helping people cross over. I've worked with somebody who was an actual murderer and was worried, wouldn't cross over because was worried about going to hell. There was no hell, right? Hell is an invention, and it was invented around the 4th century. It is not part of the original Bible. It is not part of the original Christian beliefs. It was invented so that as a threat of divine punishment for non-compliance. If you believe otherwise, that's fine, but learn a little, you can learn a little bit of history about the fact that the concept of hell was invented. Even the word hell comes from the Norse word, which is just the place that souls go when they die. It's not a place of divine punishment, a sort of supernatural retribution. And honestly, like, I don't care who you are or how pious a life you've lived, you will find some sect out there that will tell you that you're going to hell. You can find all kinds of people out there who will be happy to tell you that you're going to hell. Why? Because you weren't baptized in their specific church, or you whatever, did something that's an abomination. At least we'll all be in good company if we're going to hell. So my advice is to tell people who believe in hell to go to hell. No, don't. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, just understand that hell is an invention. It is not canon. It is not, I mean, I guess it's canon now, but it's not, all of that stuff was invented well after, and Jesus never said a thing about hell, if that's your belief system, if you're Christian. So let me talk about hell a little bit, because I'm a really good story about that, actually. My grandmother, who lived to the ripe old age of 106, passed away last year. She was a very religious woman. She was raised religious and went to church and was active in her church, was a reader in her church. Her church doesn't have clergy, but they have readers. And she was a reader in her church, so studied the Bible intently for her entire life. And she told me, she's like, people ask me, do I believe in hell? And I say, yes. When I feel angry and I feel hatred towards people, or I feel, like vicious towards other people, I am in hell. Right here, right now, on this planet, in this life, I am in hell. And when I feel loving towards other people, I am in heaven. Right? Right now, right here. Now, this is my intensely religious grandmother who studied the Bible for 106 years of her life. And reflecting, in my opinion, reflecting divine wisdom. Hell is a construct. We make it. Right? And we can be there. Yeah, no, I have Southern Baptists in my family, so I get it. I get it. So I hope that you can get whatever it is that you need, like whatever therapy to undo religious trauma. Imagine believing a system. Imagine putting your full faith in a system that is traumatizing you. Like, I question that. People are like, oh man, my church, whatever. Like, I'm worried. I've talked to people who, certainly have religious trauma, and they're like worried about, I'm worried that people in my church are going to find out about my past. And I'm like, forgiveness, Christianity 101, forgiveness. Judge not lest ye be judged. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. And you're all sinners, so don't do it. And yet, right? Why pay attention to those people? Why pay attention to people who are being so hypocritical? You can still have your faith. you can still believe, you can still read the Bible, you can be, and I'm not telling anybody what to do religiously. I don't identify as Christian necessarily, but I am an ordained minister, but not in the Christian church. You can still have your faith, you can still believe, and don't put your faith in people. People are fallible. I'm fallible. Don't believe a thing I say. Take it and check it out. See if it's real. How do you know I'm not lying to you? I might be. Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I have sat with so many people who have had near-death experiences. I have worked with people who were deceased and helped them cross over. I've never experienced or heard about a hell experience being real. And again, like, study the history of the invention of hell. It had to be invented as a means to keep people in line. That's what it is. It's a method of control, 100%. I believe that to the core of my being. If you believe different, that's okay. I still love and respect you. I am just saying this is, for 2,000, or not quite 2,000 years, but for 1,600 years, this is a method that people have used to control the behavior of other people. Right? And one set of Christians believe the other set of Christians is going to hell because they're going to the wrong Christian church, even though they're, maybe reading the same Bible or slightly different version. I mean, how many different versions of the Bible are there? How many different, there are, thousands of sects of Christianity that don't believe the same thing, that don't overlap. But congratulations, you found the right one. You found the one, the only one that knows the truth with a capital T, right? And again, like, I'm not bashing anybody's faith. If you want to believe and practice as you do, I fully respect that, whatever it is. I'm not, and I don't mean to bash Christianity, but that came up, and I knew as soon as you started talking about religious trauma that that's where it came from. And I probably would have guessed Southern Baptist if you hadn't told me as well, because I know a little bit about that from experience. Oh, here's the cat. So anyway, let's talk about stepping into your power a little bit, because that's, after all, supposedly the topic of the day, right? So stepping into your power, in part, is about taking control of your own spirituality and declaring a spiritual sovereignty. So this is where you stop listening to the lessons of the people who don't know what they're, not don't know what they're talking about, but the people who are trying to control you, people who do not have your best interests at heart. And you practice as you would. You practice as what, in a way that makes sense to you. As long as it harms no others, you are fine. Your practice, your belief is yours. I don't care if you're Southern Baptist and your other friend is Southern Baptist, your belief system is not the same. There's overlap. It is not the same. Every human being on this planet has a different belief system, right? Slightly different or very different, right? So the idea that there is one voice, there is, but it's our inner voice. It's not an external voice. The voice of truth is not external. It's not my voice. I'm not claiming truth with a capital T, right? I'm telling you what my truth is. You find your own truth, and I'm happy to help you get there. I'm happy to maybe give you some pointers to figure that out. And our truths may overlap some. They probably do overlap some. And there are some places where they won't. And that's still okay. That's really okay. When people cannot tolerate having their truth questioned, or where they cannot tolerate that other people might believe differently or have different experiences, they're being delusional, because That's reality. The reality is your experience is 100% different than mine. You're completely unique. Your biology is unique. Your experiences are unique. Your education, your family life, your epigenetics, completely different than mine. Yes, there's overlap. But how could you have the same experience and belief I do? It's just not it's not possible. The truth is that I do not hear Jesus speak to me. I well, I don't want to question people that believe that Jesus speaks to them, but it's amazing. It is amazing that the people that frequently hear Jesus or God or whatever are hearing the things that back up their already held belief system. I'll just point that out. There's something called confirmation bias, cognitive bias. I'm not saying anybody isn't hearing Jesus, but it's amazing that Jesus always seems to confirm that what they believe in is correct, and what everybody else believes in is wrong, and that even though it is really against the personality, if you read the Bible, Jesus is about love and forgiveness. Jesus, Jesus does things like talk to women and hang out with women in the Bible. Like, if you know anything about ancient Judea, like even foreigners, oh my gosh, happy hump day. You're late this morning. Oh no. Punishment to you. The punishment is you missed the beginning of my talk. It's okay. I'm talking a lot about religion for whatever reason today, but it's okay. Hello. Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone this morning. Anyway, I got off topic quite a bit, talking about religion, religious trauma. In fact, certain religions want to condemn folks to hell for believing differently, or whatever reason that they decide to condemn people to hell for stuff that you're going to hell for stuff that everybody does, right? And we're all born sinners. And I did a whole talk on my concept of original sin, and how I think the idea of original sin is actually sin. Like, it actually misses the mark, which is what the word sin means. The word sin in both Hebrew and Greek in the Bible, I know I'm still talking about religion here, in the Bible means to miss the mark. It is the same word that you would use for an archer who is aiming at a target and missing the mark. That's what it means. Sin in the Bible means to make a mistake. It doesn't mean you have offended the all-powerful, all-seeing, all-present. Like, how can you offend an omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient being that created the universe? If you believe in that being, how could masturbation offend being? How could eating the wrong thing, or not whatever. Most rules are created by people. There are natural laws in the universe. We've got gravity. We've got speed of light. There are natural laws. There are ways that things work. And we should be looking at, does our belief system, does our spirituality, does it uplift us, or does it oppress us? And would a loving, compassionate deity want to oppress us, or would it want us to be loved? Why would a creator create us to be oppressed? Oh, that's okay. There's no worries. Coming off topic. I was ready to doubt myself. Yes. Yeah. That's good. Yes. Yeah, those things can linger, right? Yeah. So I'll give you an example from my life, and not even religious, right? So the way that I was raised, in my family, the worst thing you could do would be to put someone out. Found my own spiritual beliefs through my awakening. Good, excellent. And it's definitely helping me more than Christianity ever did. Yeah, so people go through awakening experiences, and then you find, hey, I'm living in my own reality, and it's very empowering. It is not oppressive. If your spirituality is oppressive, I would question that. Why would spirit want you to be oppressed when it gave you things like free will, and it gave you things like, and I realize people go, oh, this is left-hand path stuff. I don't think so. I don't think it's necessarily left-hand path, but if it is, it is. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So in my own life, in my own household, like the worst thing you could do would be to put someone out, which means to inconvenience anyone. So as a child and even into my adulthood, things that lingered with me. Don't ever be an inconvenience to somebody, right? So if I was at somebody's house when I was a child and I was thirsty and they offered me a drink, my first reaction was always to say no. No, I'm all set. Thank you. Because how dare I inconvenience somebody by making them pour me a glass of water and taking 3 seconds out of their life and dirtying a glass. I need to be thirsty instead, because that's where, don't put anybody out. Don't inconvenience anybody. And that stuck with me in my life. Like that's a really big thing. I still have a hard time with that. I've made progress in my life because I made a rule, if at all possible, never to decline a free meal. That's one. So if somebody offers to buy me dinner, I'll say yes. That's hard for me. I was the one, for many years of my life, I would always try to pick up the check or, whatever. The other day, I went out to dinner with some like really old friends. Like old, I don't mean like, well, my age, but my best friend that I've known since I was 5 years old. He lives in New York, and he was in town, and we hung out, went out to dinner, and he and his wife picked up the check. And it made me there was a internal part of me that made me uncomfortable. Why? Because there is a internal wound of unworthiness that is almost universal. Almost every human being on the planet has some wound of unworthiness. And this is reinforced through many religious beliefs, right? Through many religious systems. There are some great things about religion. There's some great things about all forms of spirituality. But we often have to, oh, you're watching, welcome. But we often have to, namaste to you as well. Fitness Yoga Nepal. Are you in Nepal? I have studied like this much Nepalese shamanism. It's really cool. I have a great fondness for the people of Nepal and that region of the world. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. So many of us are raised with this feeling of being broken or unworthy, or we're destined for hell already, and there's never enough that we can do. How unhealthy is that? Right? Why would be like, if we were in a relationship with a human being that made us feel that way, we would say that's an abusive relationship. If we are in relationship to our spirituality and it makes us feel like that, why is that not also abusive? And I'm not taking anything about anybody's spiritual beliefs or systems. If you want to be Christian or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever, that's great. But if your interpretation of that is that you are bad, wrong, awful, broken just because you exist, that's unhealthy. It's objectively unhealthy. And I also don't think that is in any of the actual teachings. I think the teachings contradict that. Not that they are univocal, right? Part of the problem is books like the Bible is not a single book. It's a collection of books written by a ton of different authors and translated from multiple languages into multiple languages. And the early versions of the Bible, like King James Bible, were translated from earlier versions that were, came from Latin, although there was a Vulgate English version of the Bible that was like 100 years older than the King James Bible. And there are criticisms about the King James Bible that even when it was written, even when the King James Bible was first written, the language was already archaic because it was taken from English Bibles that were like 100 or more years older. And so people were like, what? Like, it sounds weird to us sometimes when we read it, we're like, sounds like reading Shakespeare sometimes. But even then, it would not have been contemporary to Shakespeare, right? Shakespeare would have looked at this and gone, I don't get it. And that's caused a lot of problems for people over the years. Again, I'm not trying to bash anybody's religion, just pointing some things out. But what I really want in my life is to help people feel comfortable in their own skin. And I really want people to be, I really want people to be able to express themselves as they, express their inner divinity, express their inner beauty. I want to live in a world where people feel free to not harm each other, but to live out their dreams, to live out their hopes, to live in their power. Imagine what a world we would live in if we didn't spend so much energy holding people down, right? If we didn't worry about, I don't like those people because they're a different religion, or they're different sexual identity, or if they're different race, or if they're different gender, or different whatever. What if we didn't care about any of that? And we just said, this is another human being and they're beautiful and they have something amazing to offer the world. And let me help them do that. Let me lift them up. Let me lift that person up, because their contribution to the world is much more important than any other crap that I place to try to push them down. Right? I have a client who is an artist, and I have to be careful because I don't give away identifiable details about my clients. But I have a client who's an artist, and this client is not really controversial, but amongst some people, because of some part of their identity, people attack this person, not because of the art, because of some part of that they're identifying with. And this person almost quit doing art. And I said, you can do whatever you want. Of course, it's not up to me. It's up to you. But your contribution to the world is a million times, a billion times, infinitely more important than the haters. The hatred makes no contribution to the world. Zero. Does not make the world a better place. It makes the world a worse place. It is a negative contribution. Hatred. Even on a small scale, right? Even on a small scale, hatred, right, makes us hold back. Right? What if we lived in a world that was full of art and invention and beauty and music and all of these things, because people could just do what they did without fear of being put down or persecuted or hated on or rejected, right? That's the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world full of beauty and art and love and compassion. Compassion is strength. A lack of compassion betrays a fear, it betrays weakness. Hello to you, Fitness Yoga Nepal. Thanks for waving at me. But imagine that. Imagine a world that was just full of people. This is what I mean by step into your power. And this is critical. This is a critical part of my path. My mission is to uplift and support. Why? Because for purely selfish reasons, I want to live in a world where I'm free to do what I'm doing, but I want everybody else. People are capable of amazing things. I'm part of this Facebook group with just a few friends of mine, a few old friends from like high school and stuff. And it started out as somebody sharing their cross stitch projects. And I don't do cross stitch, but I can appreciate, like anybody does anything creative in any way, I can appreciate that, right? And it's amazing. It's an amazing amount of work to do a cross stitch kind of thing. And so it started out where somebody was sharing that, and then other people started sharing, and other people started sharing, and everybody was like, oh, whatever it was, everybody is uplifting each other. And I'm like, why can't most of life be like that? Well, why? Because most people carry around a wound of unworthiness, and we're projecting it onto other people. I don't feel good about myself in here, so I'm going to take that feeling about not feeling okay, and I'm going to project that onto you, because it's much more comfortable to see that on you than to feel it for myself, right? Much more comfortable. Jung said that perception is projection. We're projecting all the time. I'm doing it, you're doing it. Recognize that you're doing it. Recognize the stuff that you see in other people is stuff you're projecting out, right? I have a friend, I see a lot of her stuff on social media, and she's angry all the time. And it's sort of like, I'm like, this person, like it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. She's always angry. She's always posting angry stuff about this or that. And I think about it, and I'm like, I've got some internal anger that this wouldn't bother me if I didn't have some internal anger that I need to deal with. And so then I become grateful, and I say, thank you for pointing out, not to her face. I'm not, I'm already perceived as weird amongst my friends, but mentally I become grateful. Thank you for pointing out this unhealed part of me that I need to, that I have to work on. If it wasn't for my projection, I probably wouldn't be aware of it, but she gave me an opportunity to recognize that's what it was. Hello. The cat I don't know, the cat's meowing at me. Per usual. The I'm glad I could say that to you then. Come on, what up? Come on, Phoebe. There we go. Here's Phoebe. Phoebe wants to say hello. I'll hold her up for a second. Not necessarily sure she loves that, but hello. Yeah, I caught the dog eating her food this morning. I've got to put her food higher up so the dog can't get to it. But she likes to get involved with the lives. She thinks of herself as a shaman, so she's she also rules the house. She's the queen of the house. I got her a new cat condo that's very high, and she just like gets up there and looks around. She looks like a lion. If you've ever seen lions up on a rock, shaman kitty, yeah. Her name's Phoebe, and she's very fluffy, very soft, and I'm slightly hello kitty. I'm slightly allergic to her tail, which she likes to whack me in the face with. So it makes my nose itch a little bit. Sometimes it makes me sneeze, but I love her, so she's gonna hang a little bit. But I realize it might look weird that I'm like patting something below my waist that people can't see. So I always try to, the cat's here. I'm not doing anything. Phoebe is my familiar, probably. Yeah. And my dog too. Juno is in the other room, but we are fostering a puppy right now. Phoebe, or not Phoebe. Phoebe's the cat. We're fostering a dog right now, Luna, a puppy, but I think she's about to get adopted. So unfortunately, she's not going to be with us. Unfortunately for us, fortunately for her, she's going to find her forever home and move on, I think, shortly. So we'll see. Last I heard, the people had filed their paperwork and had their references checked and stuff. So I think it's good to go. I was a little hesitant to foster because I was afraid, like, oh, I'm going to get attached. And sure enough, I got attached. I just have a thing for animals. And, I really, I realized this would be bad, but I would love to own a capybara. I don't think you can. They're, at least not in my state, but I think they're the coolest of the cool. But one of the dogs is like a big capybara, so I guess I'm okay there. Will I foster another one? I'm not sure yet. Maybe. Um, it's definitely possible. It's a little bit challenging because the kids, besides me, I get like the kids also get attached to the dog, and they're like, "Can we keep her?" And I'm like, "That's not the idea. The idea is that we're temporarily taking care of her for so that she can be adopted, so that that she finds a forever home." I did consider it though. I did consider adopting her, but we might not. I'm not sure yet. I'll figure it out. But I do love animals a whole lot, and yeah, yeah, that's the tough part because you have to have a really you have to have a really good heart to foster. You have to love this animal and take really good care of it and all of this stuff. But then you have to realize like you're gonna say goodbye to it at some point, and so that is tough. So yeah. I got really attached too. It was really quick. She's such a cute puppy and so loving, just like wants to love on everybody. And she's going to be my dog is fairly small dog, but she's going to be a big dog. I think she's part Cane Corso, and she's only 2 months old, and she's already bigger than my full grown dog. So um, that's little bit of another issue is taking care of a dog that big is much more expensive, and I do have space. I have plenty of space for the dogs, but anyway, we're talking about pets. It's okay. Tangents are okay here. They have to be because that's how my brain works. Man, coffee is good this morning. As my kids say, it slaps. I don't know if they still say that because I'll learn a term from them and uh, I'll overuse it for about a year. And like nobody says that anymore. I'm 52, I'm like, at least I'm not using slang from the 80s, all that, like, what was popular in the 80s? Valley Girl slang. Valley Girl slang was popular. Oh yeah, my kids too. I'm like, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? It slaps. Is that a good thing? Oh, that's a good thing. That's when something's really good. It slaps. Okay. Um, yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that, Lucky Luna. Yeah, so I think so. I mean, we took really good care of her. When we got her, her coat was dull. She had a lot of dandruff. She had clearly been underfed. We could see her ribs, like really, it was, and although she was a really happy puppy and everything, like she filled out. Her coat is beautiful and shiny and no more dandruff. And just from feeding her the right things and taking really good care of her and making sure she's hydrated and all of that. And she was starting to become house trained as well. So yeah. So yeah, I get all my new slang. I'll have to ask the girls. I'm like, somebody called Kamala Harris brat, and I'm like, okay, is that a good thing? Oh, that's really good. I'm like, okay, all right. Oh yeah. So my dog Juno was a rescue as well, and TikTok's making me solve a puzzle. Now I have cat hair all over me, all over my face and stuff. Yeah, so my dog Juno is also really scared of people. She doesn't really like strangers still, but she's gotten much more used to people. So same thing. She was a feral dog in Puerto Rico before we rescued. Well, not we didn't rescue her, but she got rescued, and then we adopted her, and she's a very loving dog when she gets used to you. And other than that, she's very timid and has a lot of anxiety. I'm working with her on the anxiety, and I don't know if she'll ever be really, really social with strangers. But one of the things that's worked out really well is I think it's Purina makes a probiotic for dogs that is actually calms their anxiety. And I just started giving that to her. It hasn't been a full month yet, and I can already see a difference in her behavior. Much, much calmer, less destructive behavior, less tearing things up, chewing things up. So I didn't know, like, I was like, how would a probiotic do that? I don't know. Other than I know that at least in humans, a lot of our serotonin is produced in our gut. So maybe it helps that way. But there's research to show that it works, and then the reviews. I read lots of reviews about it, and the reviews are really good. So I'm gonna keep her on it, at least for the time being. Helps with the anxiety. So way off topic here. My nose is really itching now that I've got Phoebe hair all over me. But stepping into your power, stepping into your, it's about recognizing your uniqueness. It's about becoming self-loving and self-accepting. Self-love is acceptance. Accept myself, right? I know that as a human being, I could be seen as having flaws. I do, on a very human level, I'm as flawed as anybody, right? I've got flaws. I've got bad habits. I've got, this body is falling. It's not falling apart. I take pretty good care of my body, but it's not, it's not like it was when I was 20, for sure. But I accept all of that. I love who I am. I love having this body and being able to use it to speak to you and do the things that I do with this body. Even though I had, half of one of my legs amputated, and I have, only 2 fingers on my left hand, and, all of these things that people might see as flaws, or, that sort of thing. I'm just like, hey, this is me. I'm just showing up how I am. So self-love is about acceptance. It's about being okay with everything, whatever comes up for you. We got to stop beating ourselves up, right? It's really easy to get on yourself and beat yourself up. Why do I have this thought? Why do I do this? Why do this? Just accept it. It's okay. Why am I feeling grief over this breakup? Why am I feeling sad over, my sports team losing? Why am I, whatever? Stop judging yourself. These are some actionable steps. I think I'm going to write a book. I'm finishing up the first draft of a book right now on spiritual awakening. I would love to get everybody's feedback on that at some point. How much did I pay for my which certification are you talking about? So I have different, these are master's degrees. Actually, one of those, those are master's degrees. That took several years. Each one took several years of my life. That's my teaching certificate for jiu-jitsu. That's my jiu-jitsu teaching certificate. That took 10 years of my life, a 3rd degree black belt. These are hypnotherapy certifications that took, I don't know, a couple of years of my life. Anyway, so I don't know which certification you're speaking about, but I did not buy them for $20 on Amazon. These are all things that I earned through very hard work, and that I'm quite proud of. And then over, if I show you over on that wall, those are all not certifications, but they're certificates of completion. Oh, thank you for the hearts and everything. I really appreciate that. And heart puffs. Thank you for the heart puffs. So those are things that I spent 7 years of my life. Those are just certificates of completion. Those are you did this course, one of which was teacher training, one of which was initiatory training, one of which was a year-long apprenticeship. So if the implication is, which of course, you can't be on social media and not get weird haters spouting nonsense. I don't know. Would have never guessed jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I studied jiu-jitsu for 20 years, longer than 20 years. 1996, I started training jiu-jitsu. And I've studied a number of different martial arts. I've been in martial arts my whole life. Have I ever had to defend myself? Yes, and not. This is going to sound weird, but not physically. I've had to. I lived in the city. I've had people try to fight me on the subway. I've had somebody try to mug me. I've had people threatening me. So it's happened a lot. And I've always been able to stand my ground and just not have to get into it with somebody physically. And I'm very proud of that. I actually, I'll tell you a story that I'm proud of, not just as a brag, but I will, like, it's a moment that I'm proud of because I think I saved somebody. So I was going like to get a pizza or something. I was living in Boston. I was actually living in a place called Brighton outside of Boston, and I was going to get a pizza. And I walked into this square where there's a lot of. It was like a Friday night or something, or Saturday night. It was a weekend night anyway. And the square that I walked into, there was a lot of like restaurants and bars and stuff like that, and a movie theater. And this tumultuous group of people spilled out of this bar, and there was a huge fight going on between physical fight going on between two men and a bunch of young men. So there's like two men and about 7 or 8 young men, and the young men had gotten the two guys that they were in a fight with, and I don't know like who started it. I don't know anything. I don't know what was going on. But it spills out into the street, and they get the two guys on the ground, and these guys are just kicking them in the head. And if you know anything about that, in many states, if you kick somebody with a shod foot, meaning you have shoes on your foot, it's considered assault with a deadly weapon. You kick somebody in the head, very likely of causing a fatality, right? You can, especially the side of the head, all kinds of things. Very, very dangerous. I'm like, oh my God, these guys, they're all intoxicated. They're not going to stop. These guys are bleeding. Their clothes were ripped. One guy lost a shoe. It was really bad. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't step into this. Like, as much training as I've had, I can't fight off 8 guys or break up the fight or whatever. So I go over, and of course, people have coming out of the businesses to watch, like stand in the doorways and watch. So I go over to one, there's like a guy at a sandwich shop, and I point him and I go inside, call 911, tell them you're going to need an ambulance. He's like, okay. So he runs inside. So I'm like, how can I approach this situation in a way that's safe for me? And everyone else involved. So I'm like, well, I was close in age to the guys who were in the fight. I was pretty young at the time. I was in my 20s. And so I'm like, I'm going to become their best friend, and I'm going to help them, not beat these other guys. But I went up to them and I was like, oh my God, guys, you got to get out of here. I'm like, the cops, they're right around the corner. They're coming. And they stopped for a second. And one guy looks over at me. He goes, well, they started. I'm like, yeah, I know. Totally. They started it. But the cops are coming. You got to run. You got to get out of here. And they stopped what they were doing, and they all took off down the street. So it's a little like, I don't know, it was a little moment of human engineering for me. And I'm very proud of it because they weren't going to stop kicking these people who were on the ground. And it was just what I thought of in the moment. So, and there was a case not, a few years later where somebody tried to, step in and defend somebody, and a friend of, in a nearby area, not the same exact spot, but in a nearby area, similar situation. And a guy stepped in and tried to break up a fight, and somebody got a baseball bat out of their car and hit the guy from behind, and he died. So you have like very, very dangerous kind of situation where there's a group of people. You don't know if somebody has a weapon. You don't know if there are more people somewhere you can't see. So even if you think you're a tough guy, and I don't think I'm a tough guy. I train martial arts because it's one way that I physically express myself. It's one way that I can feel safe and good in my body. I've got, birth defects. I had an amputation. I had stuff. So it was a way for me to get exercise, physically express myself. And it's something that I really love doing. And I met some of my best friends, my best lifetime friends through training in martial arts. Like still people I have, know people all over the country that I can call up if I'm in town and, have a place to stay or go get a drink with or whatever. So, so it's just something I love than I do. Anyway, I've talked about like all kinds of crazy stuff today. I'm way off topic. That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm proud of that moment. I'm proud. I'm proud of that. I mean, I have a few other stories, but that's one that I'm really proud of because these guys were injured. They were able to get an ambulance. They might have been killed. These young people might have had repercussions from that. So yeah, we digress quite a lot. It's okay. It's fine. I like it because it's more of a conversation that way. And somebody comes on and asks me about something, or even somebody trying to make like a comment like, you paid $20 on Amazon for your certificate. By the way, if you paid $20 for a certificate on Amazon, you overpaid. I'm guessing you probably could buy a blank certificate from Staples or Amazon for a couple of bucks and then print whatever you want on it. But these are all real. I can tell you what they all are. That is that's my certificate of ministry. It was ordained. It was about a year of study and passing a bunch of exams to get that. And so they're, it's all stuff that is real and whatever. Didn't know you could do what, to be honest? Digress or something else? But welcome. I am gonna have to go very shortly. I realized I've been talking now for well over an hour. Buy certificates. Well, yeah, I mean, you can buy blank certificates and print them out, print whatever you want on them, run them through your printer, or even just get a piece of paper and design a certificate. If you're paying $20 for it on Amazon, I think you're overpaying. But is what it is. I don't know. Like, I think it would be hard. Like these diplomas would be hard. They're a weird size and they're on like really fine paper. I guess you could do anything with graphic arts these days. You could print stuff out. Yeah, no, I don't have the energy to do that. For sure. I'm a serial student. I'm always studying something. So I never stop studying, and I've just like gathered. These aren't all my certificates. These are just the ones that are most important to me. I don't have room for every little certificate of completion or whatever that I've ever gotten from any course or something. So just my shamanic work and my academic stuff. I don't have my undergraduate degree up here at the moment. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate you coming on here. I always learn from you guys as well, and it gives me an opportunity to have a conversation with some human beings, even though it's over text and whatever. But I definitely appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to run and start my day's already started, but I'm going to run and start my day proper. Got to go pay some bills, and my love to you all. I hope that you all find whatever it is that uplifts and makes you feel more alive, and do it, and just do it. And don't, you don't have to, if you love art, for example, do it for the sake of doing art. You don't have to be a professional. Just love it and do it and live it. Thank you, my excellently divine friend. Nice to see you as always. Thank you for the banana. Brienne knows me well, and she knows that I eat like 2 or 3 bananas every day. I don't know why. Like, it's one of my things. I eat a variety of foods, but there are certain foods that I eat all the time, and bananas are one of my. I just love bananas. So, thank you. Technically, I guess having a daiquiri could be eating a banana if you use a real banana in a blender. So, I haven't had one in a while, but. But thank you all so much, and I'm glad we connected this morning. And hope to hi, nice to see you. I'm about to end. I apologize for that. But if you give me a follow, I'm sure you'll be informed next time I'm on. And we'll all chat soon. My love to you all. Take care. Be well.